Good afternoon. So besides the water, I brought a box full of Bitcoins. I'm going to give these away, physical Bitcoins, and I'll tell you about it in a bit. So you guys excited to be here? All right. So I just flew in yesterday. Thankfully, no jet lag. And the joke was, whenever I get on the plane, Bitcoin prices go down a little bit. So that's what happened yesterday. So it's a buying opportunity. So I'm here to talk about Bitcoin and blockchain, the China perspective. And essentially, as most of you know, my view is that the killer app for blockchain, we've talked a lot about blockchain today, but the killer app for blockchain is actually Bitcoin. So let's do a quick review of what is Bitcoin. How many of you here actually own Bitcoin? Wow, that's a lot. Okay, all right. So for those of you who don't, we'll line up and give out some physical Bitcoins. Essentially, the key thing about Bitcoin is that we know how great digital information is. With the advent of the internet, information can be digitized and can be spread all around the world at the speed of light. Is that right? Instant, no third parties, lower cost, speed of light. That's great. Now, what happens if you could do this for value? We've heard of the term internet of value. This is what it means. If we can move assets digitally, wouldn't that be great? And this is exactly what Bitcoin does. Bitcoin allows you to move real value over the speed of light through the internet, through the thing called the Bitcoin blockchain. So blockchain is awesome because with Bitcoin, you can now move real value at the speed of light, instant, no third parties, very low cost. What we're saying here is information now has value. Think about this. This slide is just information. But I were to flash a private key of a Bitcoin account, that would represent the amount of Bitcoins in there, and you can then scan it and take the Bitcoins with you. That's essentially what these physical Bitcoins are. These are like poker chips. The front is just a value, 1,000 bits. On the back, there's a silver hologram sticker, and behind the sticker, if you peel it back, would be the actual QR code of the private key. So each one is unique. If I have a bunch here, each one is unique with different private keys, okay? So I'll give these out. And information has value because the private address, the private key is the private key of the Bitcoin address, which contains the Bitcoin on the blockchain. So definitive transferable value, and this is a real big deal. Bitcoin has only been around for 8 years now, and we have over 16 million in existence. And we look at why is Bitcoin valuable? Well, because it has uniquely great features. Specifically, it's global in nature. As you know, I flew here from Shanghai in China. China is a big market for Bitcoin. So is everywhere else. Europe, Africa, Latin America, North America, and so on. It has a fixed supply. We talked about 21 million Bitcoins total. It's decentralized. It means that Bitcoin is under no one's control. I know some of you are here to hear about what I have to say about the PBOC, the central bank in China controlling Bitcoin. I'll tell you about that in a bit. But essentially, it's truly decentralized. No one, not even me, controls Bitcoin, right? So, and it also has very low fees. So why do I like Bitcoin? Very clear. I've been around for Bitcoin for almost 6 years now, since early 2011. And I like it for two reasons. Number one is a digital asset as a store of value. So imagine all the store values you have. For those of you who raised your hand earlier, if you have Bitcoin, you actually now have value stored digitally. But for the rest of us, everything that's valuable that we own in our lifetime is physical in nature. Think about real estate, stocks, bonds, money, foreign currencies, even assets like airplanes and cars and boats, right? Everything, even precious fine art or even fine wine, that's all physical in nature. But in the age of the internet and the digital age, we're saying now you can have a digital asset. That's what it means, store value, okay? Number two, I like it. Number two reason is that Bitcoin is scarce and limited. There's only 21 million Bitcoins ever. So that's about 21 billion, actually that's not true, 21 trillion bits. So these coins have 1,000 bits in it. On a per capita basis, if you have 2 of them, you have your share of Bitcoin for the whole world. So I'm going to give you one for free for the first 50 people who come up here. And then you can get more free bits in something else I'll show you later. But the point is, there's only so many to go around. And plus, the good news is Bitcoins can be divisible by many decimal places. So as Bitcoin values go up, it could potentially be used to pay for coffee and pay for really small things later, okay? Scarce and limited. So because it is digital asset and scarce and limited, it makes for good payment. So think about it. For something to be good payment, it has to be valuable first, right? It has to be convenient. So Bitcoin, by definition, is valuable because it has a market price, and also it's convenient because it's digital, so I can make payments very easily. Okay, so now let's talk about China. Who wants to know about why Bitcoin is big in China? Yeah? How many of you have been to China? Wow. So you can tell me why Bitcoin is big in China. A lot of people. That's great. I think 10 years ago, not so many people. So I've had the fortune to have lived in China for the last 10 years. I look Chinese, but I'm actually African. Any Africans here? Yeah? Really? Born in Africa? Me too. I was born in the Ivory Coast. So I'm African Chinese American. I went to school in the U.S. I have a U.S. passport. Okay, so why is Bitcoin big in China? Is it China or is it Bitcoin itself? So having had the pleasure of growing up in Africa and the U.S. and now living in China, I have a global perspective on this, at least more global than some people, but not everyone. So really, you look about this, is China really is crazy about Bitcoin. And it comes down to three things, actually two things. Mining. Mining is the process of getting Bitcoins. Many of you know what that is. Any of you miners out here? Yes, there's even a Bitfury booth out there. So mining is the process of winning Bitcoins for free using computers and electricity and software, okay? It's a lottery. And turns out Chinese people really like it because why? They can get Bitcoins for free. So that's why mining is popular. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about trading. So any day traders here? Stocks, real estate, bonds? You know, you can actually day trade real estate also, so to speak. It's more like a month trade or year trade. You buy it, renovate it, and sell it. Anyone do that? So same thing with stocks, right? Day traders, remember 10, 15 years ago, the dot-com revolution, a lot of day traders for stocks. And in China, people are day trading Bitcoin. They're actually minute trading. They're not even day trading. They're trading by the minute. And then if you think about it, why that is, well, let's look at the two things, okay? Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin trading. Number one, mining. Mining is really popular in China. In fact, over 70%. I just quote that figure because I think I saw it somewhere. Of the global market share in Bitcoin mining is in China. But the reality is that no one really knows because Bitcoin has no borders. So all the Bitcoins that are mined, they don't have a stamp that says, oh, made in China, oh, made in the USA, oh, made in London. There's no geographic markers. You follow me? Even though they have IP addresses and all that stuff, but a lot of it could be using proxy servers, VPNs, and whatnot. So there is no true data point to say how much hashing power is in China, but we think roughly 70% or more are in China, at least over 50%. And for those of you who are worried, no, it's not centralization, because in the end, it's permissionless, meaning anyone can mine Bitcoin. There's no permission. So basically my point is you don't have to be Chinese to mine Bitcoin. If people in this room, if you wanted to, you can spend enough money, buy enough Bitfury hardware, and start mining, and you can take over and get 80% of the mining in the world, if you wanted to. Okay, it costs a lot of money, a lot of opportunity, obviously. Okay, so Bitcoin mining, what is it? It's a free lottery to get Bitcoins. Who wouldn't like that? Yes? Okay, raise your hand if you want. Now, raise your hand if you want to get free Bitcoins by mining. All right, you got to raise it 2 more times. 4 more times. All right, it turns out that's exactly how it is. You raise it 100 times and you'll get like 1 hash. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly like that gentleman. So it turns out it's kind of free, but not really, because you have to raise your hand. You have to do a calculation. So by doing these small mundane calculations, like 1 + 1 = 2, what's 5 × 9 = 45, you do these mathematical calculations called hashes, and then after a while, you solve 1 hash, and then you get the prize of 50 Bitcoins. Wouldn't that be great? Well, sorry, it's 8 years later, so the prize is no longer 50 Bitcoins. It's only 12 and a half. But the good news is Bitcoin's over $900 now, right? So the point is that it's a free lottery to the extent that as long as you provide the computer, the network connection, and the software and the calculation, you can get a lottery ticket. So you get a lottery ticket for every hash you calculate. These days, computers calculate on the order of billions and trillions of calculations per second. And then every 10 minutes, out of the quadrillions of calculations out there, 1 lucky person gets the prize and wins 12 and a half to 13 Bitcoins. Okay? So it's popular in China because China has really advanced semiconductor electronics industry. We have fast assemblies for electronics. We have good chip design and cheap electricity, okay? So for these reasons, a lot of Chinese people are optimized in the position to do that. And also they like the notion of getting something for free. Okay, for Bitcoin trading, here we go. So, investment is a form of savings. Is that right? Yes? Okay. So what's next is speculation is a form of earnings. Or loss, if you want to put it that way. So for these two reasons, people are trading and speculating and buying Bitcoin. In fact, they don't just buy. Some people buy and sell. Some people sell and then buy. Because if you're a miner, you can pre-earn, you know how much you're going to earn. You can sell it first. And then that's why you have the huge trading volumes in China, low commission, no commission. And then essentially, it's this self-reinforcing loop. People in China, just like they trade the real estate in Shanghai, just like they trade the stock market, they start trading Bitcoin and a lot of altcoins as well, okay? So these two things are really big in China. In fact, if you squint, you almost can't tell if it's investing or speculation or even the third thing. If you just look from far away, okay, it's kind of like, what is it? I'm not sure, okay? So you get my idea, right? You've heard of the expression, right? Chinese people like gambling. All right, there you go. That's the proof. Okay. So lastly, about China is, this is something all media talks to me. The first question they ask is, are people in China using Bitcoin as a means to evade capital control? And with all honesty, I tell you, it is not the case, okay? And I understand why they want to think that. It's a common narrative, right? Would you believe it? Let me take a quick poll. Without me saying this, let's go back one slide. Do you think Chinese people are using Bitcoin to evade capital controls? By the way, China has capital controls, okay? For those of you who've been there, you know that. Foreigners and locals can only exchange 50,000 US dollars worth of renminbi on a yearly basis. You can't exceed that limit, okay? So do you think people in China are using Bitcoin to evade capital controls? Okay, put your hands down. People who don't think people in China are not using Bitcoin and using other ways to evade capital controls. All right, a few people, okay. Maybe you have been in China. So here we go. So Bitcoin is not, okay? And here's why. Let me give you a good analogy. I'm a man of analogies. Okay, what do you see here? What? Airport. Who can guess which airport? If you can guess correctly, I'll give you one of these chips. It's not Shanghai Airport. It would be too obvious. Anyone from Florida? Which one is it? Huh? Tampa? Fort Lauderdale. Hollywood Airport. There you go. All right. That was a man-in-the-middle attack. Okay. Yeah, see, I have a computer science background. I know these jokes. Okay, here we go. So the airport, the reason I use this is because the word capital flight. Have you heard of that? So I'm going to teach you what central bankers don't teach you here. So capital flight, let's say someone has 10 million RMB, some really rich guy. The story is that he or she, let's say, would buy Bitcoins with these 10 million RMB and send the Bitcoins abroad and sell it in Europe or somewhere, right? That's the story. And I'm here to show you this analogy. It's not true, because what happens is you purchase a BTC, you then sell it as USD or Euro, right? That's the story, narrative, right? But the truth is, unlike trade, where certain countries have trade surpluses and trade deficits, Bitcoin, especially exchanges, is always neutral. There's capital landing. It's just like an airport. If I told you, oh my gosh, Shanghai Airport, there's 65 planes took off today. Another 63 took off yesterday. Oh my gosh, each month there's like over 1,000 airplanes taking off. Oh my gosh, there's a flight of airplanes. Would that be true? Right? There would be planes like, the realities, come on, you can't fool me. The planes land every morning. Now, once in a while they stay overnight, once in a while they're in the repair hangar and so on and so forth. But in general, every plane that takes off landed there sometime. You see my point? So this is no more true statement than for me to say capital landing, where you have the Bitcoin arrived first and you have 10 million RMB landed. So someone else could make a point and say, oh my gosh, There are hundreds of millions of RMB capital landing in China through Bitcoin exchanges, bringing so much new revenue and income and investment into China. Would that be true? It's the two sides of the same coin. It's always neutral with Bitcoin. It's no different than saying let's say we're in London, let's say we export a lot of bananas to France, right? Well, actually, that's not a good example. What would be a good example? Let's say the French ship a lot of good wines over to London. Would that be fair? That doesn't offend anyone, right? Okay, so the point is, if France actually produced a lot of wine and actually shipped over wine to London, that would be an example of French wine flighting out of France. But with Bitcoin, that's not the case, because the analogy would be for every 10,000 cases of fine wine that comes from France to London or to England, there would have to be 10,000 cases that goes back to France. Okay, so that's why Bitcoin is always neutral. Okay, so I don't know if I've convinced you. Have I convinced some of you? What? Yes, a lot of mining in China, but every day, the mining in Bitcoin is only 1,800 Bitcoins a day. So even if 70% of that, even if 1,200 Bitcoins are mined in China, that's just production, that's export. Think of that as export. Each day, China produces 1,200 Bitcoins, which is indeed exported from China into the cloud. And that's what we're talking about, okay? So it's a very small amount. Comparatively, it's not in the bazillions of dollars or millions of dollars a day. It's only 1,200 or so Bitcoins a day. Okay, so the point is, Bitcoin purchases are trade neutral, no effect on the foreign reserves. What the central bank actually cares about is their $3 trillion of foreign reserves. And no matter what amount of Bitcoin buying and selling, it doesn't affect that. That's the key lesson, okay? So if any journalists are here, please take this to heart and don't ask me the question again. So Bitcoin is about money in the cloud, digital assets. It's the ultimate hard currency. Think about it. The money we have in our pockets are fiat currencies. A lot of us have British pound in our pockets. We might have US dollars or no French francs, but euros, even Chinese money. And by converting that to Bitcoin, by owning Bitcoin, essentially we've taken that money, we're leaving the fiat system, we've gone to the cloud. Just like you store your photographs in the cloud, you can now store your value in Bitcoin, okay? And by either buying these or getting these for free, you are now moving your assets into the cloud, okay? And it's the ultimate hard currency. Okay, in China, Bitcoin is about investing in the future. It's a new revolutionary global asset class. Do you guys believe that? All right. So my tagline is that I think Bitcoin is a great digital asset for a digital age. I know that my kids and grandkids, as they grow up, the world will be even more digital, more internet, VR, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and all that stuff. I firmly believe that down the road, everyone will use Bitcoin. That's why our mission at BTCC, my company, is to provide the world with the most compelling, most convenient, and trustworthy digital currency services. All right. Okay, so now let's move on to the final stage, and I'll tell you how you can get these free Bitcoins. We know that blockchain's killer app is Bitcoin, or at least that's what I'm trying to convince you. And Bitcoin's killer app is actually money. So I'm very proud to show you our latest innovation at BTCC. It's our version of a private blockchain. After all, we use a database, right? That's what it is. No one got that joke. Okay, so Bitcoin's killer app is money. And we have a solution for global money. And it's called, not yet. Did I skip a slide? Okay, the name is coming later. Okay, here we go. Today's most common form of money and payments is physical currencies, right? Do you guys all carry physical currencies in your wallet, in your pockets? Yes, many of us do. Okay, let me get a bag so I can collect it all from you guys. Okay, so unfortunately, physical currency is region specific. We have an amazing audience here from all over the world, and it turns out this is a legacy of technology. If we had better technology 100 or 5,000 years ago, we wouldn't have to make different currencies for different regions of the world. Do you know what I'm talking about? Here's another analogy. Anyone play games? Console gaming? So for many years, DVDs and console games had content that was region locked. You know what I'm talking about? So the latest Nintendo Switch, I think it's called. Is it called Switch? The latest Nintendo finally realized that region locking is terrible. So the new console from Nintendo no longer has region locking. That means you can buy games, or you can buy the console anywhere in the world. You can play games anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter because we're all multilingual. We speak different languages. We know different games and so on. So I believe one day money will also be no region locking. Okay? The sterling pound that you have in your pocket is regionally locked. Right? Is that why Brexit happened? Okay. All right. Yeah, pro-Brexit. Anti-Brexit. I should have asked the pro-Trump and anti-Trump. Okay, so what's wrong with the world today? With all the regional currencies, there is no truly global payment system. PayPal tried it. Venmo in the US tried it. There are many, many common payment platforms, but none of them is global. We think we have it solved. And I'm very proud here to announce our system is going to use Bitcoin and blockchain as the answer. Okay? It offers a way to make frictionless and instant payments all around the world. And here's how. Mobi is the name of our app. Mobi.me. It's an app that allows users to send and receive money in any currency worldwide, including digital currencies, including gold and silver. You can send money to anyone because we use mobile phone numbers. I bet 100% of people here have mobile phones and smartphones. Is that right? Anyone still on Blackberries, Nokias? Okay, but no joke. But we'll have access, worldwide access on iOS and Android. Okay, so sorry, no Nokia or Blackberry support. But essentially, the point is no more usernames, no email accounts, no complicated passwords and recovery questions and secret answers and all that funky stuff. No backing up keys and long passphrases and so on. So mobile numbers, that means anyone with a phone can receive Mobi payments. Okay? So in fact, if you give me cash, I can send you Mobi money, or you can send Mobi money to anyone else in the world. Your mother, your grandmother, your cousins, your dogs or pets if they have mobile numbers. Okay, anyone or anything. And you can send any kind of money because in there, digital currencies is the native currency, but we allow you to mimic any worldwide currency, including the sterling pound, of course, euros, US dollars, Chinese renminbi, Australian dollars, South African rand. We have like a dozen African countries, and all the what are those called? The Norwegic, is that the term? A bunch of currencies out in the north. Scandinavian, the whole region. There's like 5 currencies there, right? So we have all those support, okay, including gold and silver, and of course Bitcoin. So this means that once you load money into a Mobi wallet, you can instantly convert, drag and drop into any currency you want. Just literally dragging and dropping. And then you can send it to anyone in the world. Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. We have it today. It's called Mobi. And instant conversions. So we can instantly convert between 50 currencies. In fact, we have more than 50 now. This slide, we purposely put 50 there to throw off of competitors. We're going to have over 150 currencies. No competitors here, right? So just drag and drop. Very easy, okay? So try Mobi today. If you promise me to try Mobi, and you're one of the first 50 people here to line up after the presentation, I'll give you a physical Bitcoin, 1,000 bits. It's available for Android and iOS today, right now. We launched it on January 1st, and just yesterday, we crossed 20,000 users already. Okay, it's amazing. We crossed 5,000 in the first 2 weeks, 10,000 less than 3 weeks, and now on the 22nd day, we crossed 20,000 users. We have users from over 90 countries already using Mobi. This is an amazing growth stat. We really think Mobi is Bitcoin's killer app. We really think this is the future from BTCC. Okay, thank you very much. The first 50 people to come and download Mobi, come back and I'll give you a physical Bitcoin. What else? Please add me on Twitter. Okay, thank you.